Yo, what's up, guys? We're going to get right into a match because I think that's the best way to start. We got Mayssa Bastos versus Jessica Caroline 2025 European Championships. So if you guys like crab rides,
at light feather,
she's one to watch.
And here we go.
Mayssa. It's a double guard pull. You see the referee looking at the watch.
Has to be expected out of Mayssa, looking to pull guard.
So she already looking for the bolo. Inverse into the crab ride. We've been working a lot of crab rides.
So good at these positions.
Check out Tony's new DVD, guys.
Like she's trying to work her way into a crab ride.
The bolognese. So she's really good at staying. Let me rewind it real fast. So she's really good at staying in this crab ride position. You see, she's got her hooks developed, and her opponent is. I don't think that's the right thing to do. You see, she's pulling her hooks in, maybe to get like a 50-50 or something, but I believe in this position, she should be pushing the hooks out. It just makes sense to me to get the hooks out of there. And Mayssa's doing a good job of staying in this inverted position. And see, she's controlling the legs. And her opponent's flat on her back, right? That's perfect position. Perfect position. So look how she climbs her arms up towards the hips. That back exposure, that's bad. Don't ever expose your back. That's terrible. If she gets the horse collar, she throws the hooks in, yeah. Horse collar there. That's it, man. It's over.
This is a tough start.
Yeah, that's it. Game over.
Mayssa Bastos' corner calling for the seatbelt grip.
I don't know if this was finals or what, but that was it.
Incrementally improving her position. What a start for Mayssa Bastos.
And she re-invert. Look at the beauty of that. Re-inverts.
Once they're behind you, I mean, you're not going to escape. Or you're going to have to do some miracle stuff.
Now, Jessica still has that foot under her control, which is at the very least going to stop the hook from coming in, but it's not stopping this back pressure, which could. Mayssa's able to
see how she's pulling that hook into her? But Mayssa wants that hook. Mayssa wants that hook.
I don't imagine she'll go for the arm triangle, but this is a lot of time to work.
I'm not sure if that's a blunder or what, but yeah.
Comes in, that's one.
I just wanted to rewind that last part, guys.
Control.
So again, that back exposure, once she exposed her back. So here it was okay, but as soon as her back came off, the opponent's back came off the floor, that was it, man. Once she exposed her back, you can't do that against these crab ride AOJ people. So here, that was bad. That was bad. If you're in her position, Jessica's position, keep your back flat on the floor, okay? And then all she got to do is climb up the back. That's it.
This could be an early back take.
That was it.
In the first minute of the match.
Her position.
So Mayssa's one of the best to do it, and we'll just kind of zoom forward into the future. I mean, she's basically was on the back, one hook in, cross choke grips.
Lighter weight division is not messing around. This could be it, Danny.
That was it.
Shoulder.
Bow and arrow.
She's going to put her hips into it. Gets the submission.
Yeah.
Mayssa Bastos, 2025 European champion. Her 5th title. Here's a black belt.
So if you guys want to see a video on her, let me know in the comments. You guys can always donate some money too. That might motivate me a little bit more because those videos take forever, bro. I'm procrastinating right now. Guys. Life just getting in the way. But we should have another video next month, hopefully, God willing. Now we're on Reddit. I'm warmed up, so I'm ready for Reddit. It says, is Dima the modern Danaher or just the Wish version? Well, I guess there's only one version of Danaher. It says, if you've been living under a rock, you may not have heard of the new kid on the block, Dima. He's a German grappler turned coach to the who's who of grappling over the last 2 years due to an injury that he believed would not allow him to pursue the top level of combat sports. His most notable athletes are Joseph Chin, Owen Jones, and he was responsible for running the B team camp for CJI 1 and ADCC World Championships. This blog is being written after attending one of his seminars in an old student's gym in South Wales. I attended a 2-hour seminar on body lock passing and then went for food with Dima to bounce ideas off of one another. It was a great evening of jiu-jitsu. Yo, what were you guys doing? A little dinner, a little talk of jiu-jitsu? All right. The techniques, he kept it very simple and with minimal detail. making it applicable to all levels in the room. His concepts were probably underappreciated by the lower grades, as they could be viewed as open-ended or too simple. From my perspective, it was a great set of guidelines to apply the techniques, including when to double down and when to retreat. Basic strategy, the Q&A. I'm always a fan of questioning anyone I meet within the sport. Different perspectives can really accelerate your progress if you're open-minded enough to take them on board. He answered many of my questions. Some I found insightful, and others I felt involved too much reinventing the wheel. The sport of jiu-jitsu is always evolving and has not yet reached its most efficient form. It probably will never, Until that point, I believe people will always be renaming things and attaching their names to them, whether via systemization or simply by marketing better than their predecessors. Shark Tank. I went for knowledge and left feeling like I'd done 10 rounds with Tyson. I had many old friends in the room, some of whom I'd promoted to blue or purple over the decade or so. While I was studying at Cardiff University, Dima himself was also very keen to get some mat time with me and test his skills against mine. One thing I will say for anyone who believes he is purely an academic student, you would be incorrect. That the guy can roll. The seminar, the approach and structure were impressive. He started with a baseline test of a specific scenario where he emphasized working at a low heart rate. This was followed by a series of techniques that had a balance of conceptual and technical information. Finally, it swung back to the testing element again, so we could see if we had improved. He rounded up with a Q&A, which I primarily hogged. And then we had open rounds where I was Shark Tanked to within an inch of my life. The academic approach. During the sparring session, Dima would do a round with me, sit and watch a few rounds, and then spar again. Each time he would try to adjust to stop what I had successfully pulled off in the previous rounds. It was impressive to see him dissect my game over the space of 10 to 15 rounds. I mean, that's a ton of... if you're competing, depending on what tournaments you're doing, you just figure that stuff out during the match. But if you got 10 to 15 rounds, you should be able to get an idea of somebody's game. The only negative for me is that I had zero rest and was slowly dying, so he kind of set you up. Yeah, I kept getting challenged with resting partners, something I was not personally a fan of. Humble and honest. One of the things that made me enjoy my time on the mat with the German Wizard was that he insisted we grapple, and each time he tried to approach my game differently by analyzing the previous roll. He's German. That's what they do. That's normal. I was also taken aback by how much he laughed and complimented my grappling when I bested him in an exchange in a room full of people who had just paid for his seminar. He was very humble and complimentary, unafraid to put his ego aside and ask me questions after our rounds. Is he the next big thing? Honestly, I couldn't answer after just one session. Would I like to train with him again? That's for certain, as I enjoy his approach to the game. I would also love to delve deeper into his thoughts on training camps and periodization. The online world can tarnish anyone in any way they want. I would personally hold off judging this man until you have shared a mat with him. I mean, usually with coaches, you just judge them through their athletes, right? That's how you judge coaches, right? How their athletes do, how their athletes act, etc., etc. One guy says, I'm sure Danaher is the modern Danaher. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I can't read some of this stuff, guys. I know you can see it on the screen, but I can't read it. I do think guys like Dima who follow sports sciences are needed in BJJ. Shout out to my man Sergi. He's also one of the best coaches I know. And, a lot of experience. I have my doubts on everything he showed yet and some of his takes, but let's see how he evolves. He is still quite young as far as BJJ time counts. And if he focuses on bringing state-of-the-art methods in BJJ and study people who know better than him technically, no doubt he can become a great coach. Danaher is a whole other dimension right now. He is the Gurgel Z. Ridola, Guy Mendez division of all-time great coaches. That's just experience. Danaher has been training 25, 30 years or so. So, man, that's hard. Especially think about a high-volume area like Renzo Gracie's New York Blue Mat, they probably had 10,000 people come through the door. So it's almost not a fair comparison. If one person's, I'm dealing with 10,000 people over the course of my career, and maybe this other guy's just dealing with 2 or 3 guys. It's kind of tough. So that's why some of those coaches in those high traffic areas, those Art of Jiu-Jitsus, those Atoses, those Alliance gyms, the guys get so good because they're teaching classes 50 people, 100 people all the time, and they're seeing so many students. They're seeing thousands of students, and that's just more experience they can add. One guy says the irony of this is that sports science is already quite a lot of standards. Sports science already has quite a lot of standards on training tools, periodization, and general methodologies. We don't use them. That's why if you bring that stuff from modern sports science into our sport, you're definitely gonna stand out. For some reason, BJJ people prefer to train like meatheads. Yeah, that's true. It's easier. It's easy. It's easy to train 2-3 times a day, beat your body up. Some people train, they're not thinking about jiu-jitsu. They just do the same moves. They're just fighting. They're wrestling. I'm not saying wrestling's bad, but they're not even using their jiu-jitsu most of the time. They can just turn their brain off and go. But if you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, you got to be thinking, not always while you're rolling, but outside of rolling, drilling, free time, you should be thinking, oh, maybe I should try this next time. Oh, that didn't work. I need to add this detail. Or searching videos and stuff like that. That's another way of learning. He says, it's a shame if Dima does not follow this. As I said, I have my doubts on his takes, and I'm always a bit surprised to see high-level people endorse him. So either he does things differently to what he actually shows on the internet, or these high-level guys don't know what pro training is supposed to. That might be what's happening. They never had a coach focus on them. So once they get someone that's, basically volunteering to be their coach, yeah, of course. You never had a great coach before that knows some sports science, and you got this dude like saying he's going to help you. Maybe not charging you, or maybe he takes a fee. I have no idea. But man, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'll work with you. Nobody else wants to work with me. So yeah, there is a niche for that. So Sergi, if you're out there, maybe you can open up your training services to other people. Maybe I need to be the test dummy. All right, Sergi, let me know. So we might look up Dima later. We'll see. We got another video. It says, this one lesson will change your jiu-jitsu forever. John, I think that title sounds similar to mine, but you can use it, bro. I got no hate for that. You use it, bro. So Jon Thomas new video. We'll give the like tax to John. And again, guys, 30% off his double sleeve and collar sleeve courses with the code DISTANCE YouTube YT, and that's on mavericks.com. We'll just take a little look at John's video. As always, I suggest you guys go and watch the video yourself.
Fighting an extremely aggressive opponent. You often learn different attacks, but when your opponent starts attacking you first, it can be easy to get stuck in a defensive cycle that you can't get out of. The number one reason this happens to you is because you lose the grip fight. If you tie your opponent up in a position that you know better than they do, you are in control of the fight. No matter how much better they are in other positions, they're stuck in the position that you know best. But most people have a misunderstanding of how grip fighting actually works. They imagine they will pick their favorite position and force it on their opponent. But this isn't exactly how it works. You have to first build off of the grips they make available to you, rather than chasing the grips you want, since you cannot always control how your opponent is going to approach you. They can approach in many different ways: right leg lead, left leg lead, postured, bent over with their arms back, and more. So you first must learn to adapt to their body positioning for your entry grips. then adapt and transition from there. This video, I show a foolproof system on how I use an impenetrable defensive barrier that you can then use to effortlessly make the first control and transition into your first attacks and set up the guards of your choice.
So the first thing when you're establishing a guard, you have to get grips to be able to attack.
So I'll let you guys watch the rest of that. But if you guys know Jon, like if you ever roll with him, just to get grips is tough. You're gonna fight. You fight for the grips. Jon ain't gonna give you pant grip, sleeve grip. You're gonna have to fight. And he's so tall. You got the range control. You think you're gonna grab that pant leg? That leg's moving. Woo. So yeah, that's important. You know, I learned a ton of things from Jon and grip fighting for that grip. You know, that especially fighting if they're passing, you fight with your guard retention. And that mentality, you know. Let's see some familiar people. What's going on, guys? What's up, my Swedish crew? I need to come visit you guys. So guys, go check out that video.
Grips, right? So a lot of people
go check out that video. And talking about great jiu-jitsu instructors, we got Ryan Hall explains why you should compete if you train jiu-jitsu. So you know that big debate, we got the self-defense guys versus the sport jiu-jitsu guys. This has been going on for too long. I don't know what's going on with all this stuff. You should be doing both, just like the gi and no gi. You should be learning both self-defense and sport techniques. Ryan Hall, he believes that you should compete if you train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a lot of it has to do with mindset and that you're developing along the way. Ryan says competition, if done properly, forces you to become better. Anytime you have a clear goal and strong opposition, you're going to improve. That's true. And, you know, that's the one argument against self-defense is that they're, you know, a lot of it's scripted. You know, it has to be scripted. You got someone coming at you with a knife, foam knife. I mean, how it's hard to, if you like say, hey, go wild, you know, nobody would be alive. They'd be stabbed up. So there, you know, it is kind of hard to do some of the self-defense stuff. But you can do a lot harder training with the sports side of it. Going in with let's see what happens mindset is a cowardly way to compete. That approach gives you nothing. It doesn't teach you what you need to learn. I've put everything into preparation, fought hard, and won. I've also done the same and lost, and it hurts. It hurts really bad. It really hurts. If you don't put your all into it, the loss won't sting as much because you never really put yourself out there. But that's how a coward approaches things. Thanks, Ryan. Maybe we can look at a clip real quick, guys. Let's see.
You have been both a supporter and a critic of competition. What do you think is the value of competition for martial artists?
I believe that the value of competition is in that it teaches you the true purpose of martial arts. And again, the true purpose of martial arts is being able to defend yourself and whatnot and all of these other things in real life, yes. Because let's say you win an ADCC gold medal, but you know, you get slapped around by someone bigger and stronger you at a bar. That people will talk about how sweet that gold medal is, but for the rest of your life, it'll feel pretty hollow. That wouldn't, you know, that's not what we're looking for. But what I'm talking about, I guess, is what I believe competition develops if approached properly is proper focus, proper dedication. Because anytime you have a very defined goal and strong opposition, it will force you to be better, period. Mm-hmm. The better your opposition is, if you focus and you take what you're doing seriously, the better you become, period. People are better wrestlers today than they once were. People are better basketball players today than they once were. Military is better now than it was in the past because of all of the competition that, you know, that has existed over the course of time.
So you heard it from Ryan Hall, you know, the competition makes you better. And, I mean, you can't really compete with the self-defense. I mean, we saw the Valente Bros, they did like a competition with the self-defense, but it was still like, it's still controlled. It's a lot of factors that you know, they're only going to come at you a couple different ways that you already know. But when you're competing, you don't know what's going to happen. You're just out there, you're reacting, you know, you have to adjust. You're put under that stress. You're fighting someone, they're going hard, bro. You know, these tournaments, I don't know about other martial arts, actually all the grappling martial arts, they're going hard, bro. They're trying to throw you on your head. They're trying to squeeze you, especially in the lower weight classes. The higher weights, you got more technique. But lower weights, bro, they're trying to rip your head off. You know, go watch a white belt match. Go watch, blue belt, they start chilling a little bit. But watch the white belts, bro. That is self-defense out there. If you can survive the white belt division, you know some self-defense. You can defend yourself a little bit. And we got a little podcast with your boy Espen, guys. I'm going to just try to get into the good stuff. You guys want to see competition? You want to see no-gi and climbing, or you guys want to see approach the competition? Oh, let's look at prep. That's what I'm interested in, guys. I vetoed your. Hopefully, Grappler's Perspective podcast will give you a like, give you a little subscribe too. Please don't hit me with that copyright strike. We just want to shine some light on Espen.
Your prep for competition, do you train differently in the run up to a big competition compared to how you would outside of competition?
I definitely just try to because I train well almost like year round, but I start increasing my intensity. I'm a bit more sharp focused. I may not play around as much in training and experiment as much because I want to make sure I'm like dialed in for like proper competition. But it's just mainly the intensity and those stuff. I don't change too much. And I always feel there is like almost a competition coming up, so I can't like change it too much up.
Yeah, fair. And with your training experimentation, I mean, a bad habit that I've gotten into previously and other people have talked to us about as well is, I don't know, if you feel you're maybe weaker in a certain position, like, I don't know, like the sort of pin escapes, for example. Yeah. You might start allowing people to in training to put you into a bad position. Yeah. So you can kind of work out of it. But sometimes that can create obviously quite a lazy style of jiu-jitsu because you just get used to letting people pass your guard because then you're comfortable getting out of it. Yeah. What's your thoughts or advice on experimentation from maybe sort of weaker positions? Do you allow people to get that position, or do you do more situational sparring, or do you kind of try and lean the spar into that direction but still make it difficult for the person?
I definitely like when I'm rolling to kind of like give certain position, for example, like I'm giving my back and then work on my back escapes. But as you say, if you're always giving stuff, eventually it might create bad habits, you know what I mean? So if you feel you need extra work on a position, then it makes sense to be like, okay, let's just really concentrate and focus on this issue. Let's do a lot of like specifics, map it out more, and then you can go back to do in sparring to kind of then give it and see if you actually made improvement. And then you might realize like, okay, I made improvement, I can work on something else.
Yeah, no, perfect. And then actual competition.
Actually, let's watch a little bit longer, guys.
Like warm-ups, like visualization. I mean, what does your comp day typically look like?
I've tried to have no like clear ideas. Before I was way more into it. I had before like leading up a lot of visualizing. Remember having like the music list I had to have on, and I was like, remember being so stressed because I was like I had to listen to the music, but then all of a sudden I'm fighting soon, and I was like, yeah, but I need to listen to myself. All these ideas, all the plans, all the rituals, just on paper it sound nice, but it just made me more stressed. Yeah. Now I'm just showing up like I'm going to an open mat. I don't know what I'm going to do in open mat. I don't know if I'm going to listen to the music before. You know what I mean? Like, just show up, you know. I'm there. Sometimes I listen to music. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes, you know what I mean? I try. The only thing I can say that I'm like trying to do before a competition is to get a good warm-up. That's the only thing I would like to have a good warm-up. Yeah. Sometimes that might not even happen, and I'm fine. But I want to if I can, I want to make sure I'm having like a good sweat, so I have at least had some pulse before going out there. But I'm really trying my best to don't be like boxing myself into all ideas, because again, if it deviates, I've felt myself that I get stressed by it.
Yeah, no, I think trying to do all this stuff is definitely stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, all these rules, and it's like all the rules stresses you in something.
And especially, I don't know what the bigger comps are like.
That's awesome, guys. That's some really insightful information from Espen. So if you guys want to watch the rest of this is called How to Succeed in Competition with one of Europe's top grapplers, Espen, number 61, Matthijsen. I never say Espen's last name right. I'm sorry, Espen. And this is the Grappler's Perspective podcast. So if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and check it out, guys. Back on Reddit, I can only do about 2 or 3 Reddit nows before I get angry. It says, if you could choose only one well-known competitor to teach you BJJ, who would it be and why? Marcelo, people love Marcelo, bro. Marcelo, no question. Mostly because he doesn't seem like a weirdo or a giant bad person. I would say Craig for the laughter, but I don't think I could keep up with him for more than a week. You couldn't keep up for 2 days, bro. That first night we have you. Came here expecting every single person to say Marcelo. I guess not everyone here is in their 40s or 30s. I thought for sure everyone would pick Marcelo. Marcelo, everybody loves you, bro. I feel weird about this question because he teaches about 30 minutes for me, and I have the means to go train with him. I'm just too lazy. And this is how I know BJJ is not a huge priority of mine. But I hear he's a very committed direct teacher. So that's insane. People could have him right there 30 minutes away. In New York, people would go to Henzo's and then be right across the street from Marcelo's and never train with him. But Marcelo be their biggest inspiration. So I got to ask you guys to set aside your egos, your politics. If there's a great instructor, a once in a lifetime person you want to train with, go train with that person. You know, if you got Marcelo across the street, but your coach, you're loyal to your coach, be like, hey coach, that's Marcelo Garcia. You come with me too, coach. Let's go train with them. So I wish those Henzo guys and the Marcelo guys could have worked together. Jiu-Jitsu would have been, what level would Jiu-Jitsu be on if Marcelo and Danaher had worked together? Can you guys imagine? Instead of all that fighting, all the choke boys and the DDS BS stuff that was going on, if they had worked together. Bro, listen. I don't know, man. I don't know. One guy says, you should train with him at least a few times, man. Imagine a football fan getting to say they train with Messi. That's ridiculous. We're privileged to live in an era when the best competitors still teach. It won't always be that way. Yeah. He's like, man, I don't want to read that part. Yeah, Marcelo, Adam Rudzinski, because that butterfly guard is sick. I haven't trained since 2018, but I still remember trying to learn his butterfly system, hoping to get back into the gym soon. My son and I recently attended one of his seminars, and on the drive home, my son goes, he's an amazing teacher. That's the best seminar we've attended. High praise indeed from a 17-year-old who barely grunts to communicate most of the time. Lackland, dude is really good, seems to be a good guy, and is an excellent teacher. That last one is rare among top competitors. Like, I'm sure Gordon Ryan would teach me, but it's like listening to a Temu version of Danaher. I'd be annoyed the whole time. With Lackland, I'd learn more efficiently and have a pleasant time too. So, you know, that's an important part, because I think a lot of competitors think if they're good by itself, I'm great, I'm amazing, that other people will want to learn from them. But you hear people saying, of course, they want you to be good, but they also want you to be a good person and also be a good teacher. So you got to hit three different areas. You know, you can't just have the one. You got to have three different triangle, the tripod, right? You got to have three different areas you're good at. You should have probably more too, but those three, that's your structure. All right, so let me know in the comments what instructor you guys would like to learn from. I don't know what instructor I would like to learn from. I don't know. So now we got Demetrius Johnson says that he may be doing CJI too. That would be pretty cool, man. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty awesome. He says, as a spectator, absolutely. As for competing, no. So maybe he doesn't want to compete. I only train 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm more predominantly in the gi. They can set up. They can listen. They could do whatever. You could do whatever you want. They could do the super fight in the gi, bro. No gi is kind of not my thing. Even though you did MMA champion for decades. Even if I come from a no gi background, my man went over to the gi. Dang, what'd you guys do to him in no gi, guys? He put his gi on. He said, no more no gi. These guys are the cream of the crop. They train every single day. All they do is no gi grappling. So I know my skill level. I mean, they obviously don't put you with the other young guys. Put you with, like, I don't know, maybe Uriah Faber or Cejudo. Wouldn't you guys want to see a Cejudo versus a Mighty Mouse grappling match? That would be awesome, right? Listen, we could do that. We can do that. Or Craig can do it. I can't do it. I'm not affiliated with any of these people. Hopefully we can get him an let's see. I think Craig made a response, but yeah, I would love to see Mighty Mouse again. Now we got a video. It says the wrestler's mindset, and it's Joe Rogan podcast, but it's under some other guy's name. So let's see what he's got to say. And Ben Askren, I think.
had some pulse.
So that's what they said. I mean, yeah, wrestling's tough. Talking about wrestling, we got the definitive ranking of the greatest wrestling nations on earth. I mean, there's only a couple countries that really like wrestling, guys. Let's see. 20 was China, 19 is Hungary, 18 Bulgaria. Bulgaria should be higher. 17 Italy. Wait a second. What's this? Where they? How are they judging this? It says history of producing world class competitors. That ain't fair. Wait a second, because Italy is number 17. But let's read. It says Italy has benefited greatly from naturalized athletes, particularly from Cuba. Shout out to Chamizo, my cousin from Cuba over there, Frank Chamizo. While their program is growing, they have yet to reach the level of the more dominant wrestling nation. So they be getting those guys in there. Serbia 16, 15 Ukraine. They have one really good guy. I think the Greco guy that's also a politician now. Please protect him, bro. The politicians, if you go into politics in those countries, bro, you don't always end up well. Belarus 14, India number 13. Oh man, that girl, the girl that she couldn't make weight and got kicked out the finals. That was so sad, bro. That was a sad moment. 12, you got Azerbaijan. 11, Mongolia. Shout out to my Mongolians. 10, you got Uzbekistan. 9, you got Kazakhstan. Oh, we're getting into the Eastern European countries, guys. Eurasian countries. Number 8, you got Armenia. 7, you got Turkey. 6, you got Georgia. Shout out to Georgia, not the state of Georgia in America, but the country of Georgia. 5, you got Cuba. Yo, my Cubans, but Cuba's good. Greco, they definitely great in Greco. Greco, and then you have guys like Frank Chamizo who did really well in freestyle. So both styles of wrestling. Japan, kind of good in both too, but really dominant in the women's and in the men's, bro. They were tearing it up in the lighter weight classes for the men's. Japan is good. Number 3, you got Iran, as some other people will say. Number 2, you got USA with our NCAA wrestling. The only thing is, this is international wrestling, and you got to remember that in America, the wrestling style is folk style wrestling for the men, and women, they do freestyle wrestling. So maybe in the future, the NCAA will switch over to a freestyle system, and in that case, I think USA will move from number 2 to number 1. But right now, all the best wrestlers right now, the young wrestlers, do folk style wrestling in college, and then after college, usually they switch over to freestyle wrestling. So if we could somehow switch that earlier, maybe high school they start going into freestyle, or even younger, I think a lot of things will change. Number 1, you got Russia. I mean, that's just rough, bro. Russia, you got a ton of really dominant wrestlers. You got the Sativ brothers. Got that's all the Dagestani guys. That's all the all the old Eastern Bloc countries from the Soviet Union back in the day. So, a ton of great wrestling. And there's some other countries that are really great at wrestling, like Afghanistan and some other countries you never would think. We got another video that says strength standards for Judo. So this is a newer guy. I'm gonna just play like a short clip. Hopefully it doesn't hit me with the copyright strike. But when I think of Judo, I think of my friend Lakea and Colton Brown. So those guys, bro, I haven't got a chance to really move around with Colton, but Lakea, I forget what weight class Lakea is. He's probably 135, 145. But bro, he's so strong. We're just gonna play a little clip, okay? But something about them in wrestling, the strength and conditioning is, their sports science is way more advanced. So they're using off-season periodization. They're working their strength. They're building their strength before the season. And man, they're so strong, but they work at it.
And also, if you lift 2 times your body weight with presses. Okay, and for the squat, this is probably the most important one, squat or deadlift. I personally don't deadlift just because it's not worth the back injuries. I don't recommend even judo athletes to deadlift because there's enough risk of injury if you're fighting competitively. Don't even do deadlifts. You can either do, I personally like front squats because I have shoulder issues, but when my shoulder wasn't that bad, I used to back squat. I used to do, I never maxed out, but the most I've done was 15 repetitions of 315 pounds. And I was around 170, 175 pounds. So that's a little over double my weight, I think. That's really good. If you can do that, you're advanced. You're really good. For more the intermediate / beginner guy, if you can do your body weight times half, that's still good for reps. That's really good. So don't beat yourself up. So yeah, those are your strength standards, guys. Let me know which one you measure up to and which lift you're working on the most, whether it's the squat, the pull down, pull-ups, or...
Oh, we didn't see the other ones. Where are the other ones at? I kind of want to see the pull-ups. I feel like that's a good list.
If I didn't have the amount of muscle mass I currently have, I wouldn't be as good as I am. Because let's put an example of a strong muscle guy who doesn't have that much technical experience with judo versus a skinny guy who is technically gifted with judo. Okay, well actually let's make an example. Let's have a guy like myself 2 years ago who was decent at judo with technique, but he's pretty strong. He's been working out for like 4 or 5 years versus an absolute skinny guy, but who's been training judo for a couple of years and has good skills. So it's probably going to be an even match because while the technique skill always beats size, let's be honest. However, if you come from a base of athleticism, kind of like me, and you strength train on top of that, you can overpower your opponent. You're going to have more stamina, you're going to have more strength, especially if you train like me, and how I'm going to show you how to do so exactly for judo at the end of the video. Guys, I have beat guys who have had more experience with judo at my club. I'm not going to attribute it all to my strengths. Because I've been doing a strength that I've developed in the gym because I have been doing judo for like almost 8 years, I think now. So my skill is pretty like up there with my physique. But even so, I do feel like what makes me good at judo is my muscle, my strength.
So talking about, the Joe Rogan, inspirational Joe Rogan video, they were like, the wrestlers are built different. I think it's just they're training more for their sport. So conditioning, hard repetitions, lots of reps, and man, I think that aspect of going through that, pushing your body, and some jiu-jitsu schools do have more conditioning. Some of these schools just be doing bodybuilder workouts still. They be out there just doing the bis and tries, doing curls and stuff, which is it actually does help in some jiu-jitsu styles. I just feel like a lot of jiu-jitsu, because we always focus so much on technique, that we can underwrite the importance of condition and strength training. So, but if you add that with your jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's a good multiplier basically. So yeah, strength train, guys. Do some strength training. And I'm not saying lift heavy weights, but you put your body under some load. Pause on that comment. Like weights, lift heavy things, move a lot. A lot of schools, I think we talked about warm-ups. A lot of schools don't do warm-ups, so like people don't develop how to move dynamically. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to do all the animal drills, all the handstands, cartwheels, all that stuff. It just builds your athletic base. But when you don't do that, you never do that stuff, you're not going to have that athletic base to rely on. But, judo and wrestling, heck, wrestling, they do a lot of gymnastics, especially in Japan. The warm-up is gymnastics. All right, backflips, let's go. I'm watching them. I'm like, I can't do a backflip. All right, jump up, bounce off your head and flip over, front flip. I'm like, uh-oh. My neck can't take that. Back on Reddit. Let's see. It says, is it better to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? It says, I've been doing jiu-jitsu regularly for 3 weeks, 3 times a week, 3 days a week for a year and a half now, and I've progressed reasonably well. Bro, you still a beginner. I recently joined a local BJJ club where the average member has been doing it for either as long as me or a shorter time period. Consequently, most roles aren't particular. Consequently, most roles aren't particularly challenging, but I do get the work. But I do get to work on the technique we've learned as I generally can beat most partners if I lose position. I don't understand that. Do people think I would progress faster if I went to a gym where the average member is better than me? I think they're going easy on you, bro. In the past, when I've attended higher level gyms, I get good tips from partners, but in sparring, I'm much less likely to work techniques as I'm just getting steamrolled. Would it be better to just attend 2 gyms, one higher and one lower? What do you think? The community at this club is great, and coaching is high level. Black belt and brown belts from legit lineages. I am by no means saying I'm good at BJJ, just that the average member of my current club is quite inexperienced. I think you just need to train, bro. You kind of jumping the gun. It's weird because you want a deep talent pool with a lot of guys a little worse than you and some way better than you. With different styles and niches, the one guy that always goes for legs will get you really good at defense. The one new guy that has terrible cardio, but you still can't submit, will teach you to be creative with your approach, etc. It makes you well-rounded. I've been on both sides of the coin. My first gym, I kept training while most others quit, so eventually I was on the side of being considered good and would regularly beat my peers. Now I'm at a gym where even as a purple belt, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. I get smashed every roll. My advice would be to stay at the gym you're at now, continue to work on your technique, and grow with the gym. Cross train at other open mats so that you will test your skill and techniques against others. This is legit, except this is my first and only gym, but my gym is fairly small. On a good day, we might get like 12 to 15 people. I'm at the point where I'm beating just about everyone but my coach. My 2 hardest roles are our 2 brown belts. It's a purple belt. Cool thing is we have like 5 to 6 other affiliated schools in my city, so I'm always dropping into their classes for some tough roles. And sure enough, at certain gyms, I get humbled fast, which I can dig because how else am I going to get better? And you got to remember, a lot of these jiu-jitsu schools we're catering to hobbyists. You know, those wrestling programs, the wrestlers are built different. You know, that's high school, that's college. What do you say, 18 to 23, 24 or something. Sometimes 25. Some of these college kids are old. 26, they're still in college. So, of course, that's a high-level environment. You can put the 40 killers, black belt killers, 40 high-level wrestlers into one room, and everybody's going to improve. But in jiu-jitsu, you put 40 killers in one room, awesome, great. But the money comes from the new people. It comes from the white belts, the blue belts, people starting jiu-jitsu for the first time, people that don't want to roll, people that want to have it easy, want to learn technique. So if you did try to run your program like a wrestling program, your jiu-jitsu program like a wrestling program, it'll be really hard. You're gonna be broke most of the time. You're not gonna be able to pay those bills. It's gonna be looking like Daisy Fresh at the first location, not the second location when they got popular. It's gonna be looking like the laundromat with people living up in boarded homes. So it's hard we have to balance everything in jiu-jitsu. We got to balance keeping the level high. You still want good people in your gym. You want to keep that skill level high. People come to train, they're not going to have an easy time, but you also want it to be inviting for newer people and they can, thrive in that environment. But if it's too hard, it's not going to go well. And you see that with those wrestling programs, like not the schools, those academies, wrestling academies, they're a little bit more chill, right? They push a little bit and they're taking the kids to the different tournaments. But I assure you, their job is to prepare the kids for the next level, right? So you can't push the kids too hard, if you want to push your kids hard, send them to Dagestan, 2 to 3 years in Dagestan. So now we got Buchecha. So, jiu-jitsu, we talk about jiu-jitsu being like the smooth arte suave. And some of that comes from the different movements you learn just from surfing, especially in Brazil, Rio particularly. They go surfing, they be chilling, bro. So that carries over to their jiu-jitsu. Some of you guys got to learn how to surf, man.
Relax.
Palito
and Buchecha, and I really noticed him as a very cool kid. Like after the training, I felt like he was not a guy that was just about jiu-jitsu. And then sometimes you wake up and say, you know what, I'm gonna surf, I'm gonna surf, and you go surf. At the beginning, as a coach, as a black belt, you don't gonna lie, I was, maybe he's not so serious.
When I was lost, okay, I don't wanna go back home, but I don't have money to stay, so what I'm gonna do? Then Lucas said, okay, man, I'm going to Brazil, wanna teach my classes in my gym. I live with my car and my house, so yeah.
There you go, man.
I was a 2-time Pan Am black belt, you know, was a world no-gi champion. So they look up as a me, like, okay, Lucas made it, you know. But I was living with 4 roommates, you know, but for the guy coming from Brazil, it was a big house. The community, they have jacuzzi and pool, so they're like, oh, Lucas.
That was it. Like, that was the beginning of a new life in California, because I came with $1,000 in my pocket without any plan. And that was when I really started my American dream, you know what I mean? Because in Florida was different, but in California was like, okay, that's it. I don't have a hotel call, I don't have my parents, I'm on my own here. And then was the hardest part, but the happiest part of my career.
Hey, these Brazilians worked hard to get here, man. They worked hard. Look, he's made it, man. He made it.
Senta aí. When you're young, you don't really want to do anything, right? I remember I used to like to stay on the beach, on the street, like doing anything, like playing football and messing around, but not anything serious. Then I started training, but then all my friends from my neighborhood started surfing, but that was like 13, 12, and it was fun.
I'll let you guys check the rest of that out. It seemed pretty inspirational, right? You know, I got to be fortunate to see a lot of Brazilians come over to America, didn't know the language, had no money, and to see them thriving now. So that's pretty amazing, and great to see. We got 2 more videos. We got a fake BJJ black belt. So this is a pretty old video, but man, you know, it happens, bro. Some of these people fake. We'll just get to the good stuff. This is more old school, bro. More old school. We used to have to chase these fake black belts out of here. This was no IBJJF recognized black belt. We had to expose them. I mean, not everybody is in IBJJF. That's how these Reddit people be rolling, bro. They be rolling just like this. They be rolling just like that. That's how you Reddit people be rolling.
Perfect.
Technique be the same. Complain about your instructor.
Boom! Boom!
I don't know. That kind of looks legit to me, huh? What do you guys think? That looks legit, bro. What are you talking about? That's wrestling, bro. That's NCAA D1 wrestling technique right there. That's legit, bro.
Baby, cause if you down with me, nigga, we can kick it. And let's take trips and ride airplanes.
People used to dojo storm back in the day, man.
I stopped the 8 in the morning.
No, I hear you. We'll roll. I'll roll late. We don't gotta roll hard.
The guy's trying to roll with him
I just want to see black
to expose him. That's me trying to roll Reddit people. Come on, let's roll. They're like, but I do ecological. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
2-minute roll.
When is it?
2-minute roll, man.
When you say wrong, right?
Say it, right?
Yeah. When do you put it on?
Where you get black belt?
Yeah. Listen.
Where'd you get the black belt, though? Where'd you get the black belt?
For me?
Yeah.
I got it online, bro.
Where?
Amazon.
I see the website IBJJF ranked black belt.
Brazil.
IBJJF recognized?
I got it from Brazil.
Are you IBJJF recognized?
We're in Brazil. Brazil.
IBJJF recognized black belt.
I don't understand, man.
Is IBJJF recognized black belt? You understand? IBJJF, International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. Jeffrey, you start rolling.
So yeah, I mean, you know, the IBJF, we make fun of it a lot of times, but it is the major governing body, you know, and you can check if you can check their history, their competition history, their registration history. So it's not perfect, but it's not terrible. You know, some of these nogi, you don't know what people do in some of these nogi schools. You know, they could be from wherever. They can say whatever they want. They, you know, train whatever they want. But with IBJF, there are some standards. And even for them, I mean, you can register as a black belt, but then to be certified as a black belt, you have to do safe sport training. You have to go through a CPR course and then a background check. And then also they check your competition registration history. Who'd you get your belts under? Who gave you? When did you get promoted? So they do some due diligence, which I commend them for. So these guys didn't ever roll, I don't think. He just eventually had to admit that he wasn't an actual black belt. So, you know, this is a different time period. Back in the day, people would come to your school and they were like, hey, you do jiu-jitsu? Okay, I'm going to come and test you out. And people, I was at Whole Foods the other day. Some guy ran up on me. He's like, oh, I had some type of hoodie on, some jiu-jitsu hoodie. He's like, oh, you train? What belt are you? Yeah, I think he tried to alpha me. I was like, I'm a black belt. Oh, he's like, oh. That kind of shut him up a little bit. But even now, 2025, people are like, what rank are you? And then even me, I was like, I'm a black belt. Like, I almost felt like I wasn't one. Like, I guess I'm a black belt. I felt like this dude over here getting exposed. Dang. I did want to see one thing. I don't know if we can see it. I wanted you guys to see a little bit of Dima. I cannot play B team stuff. I'm afraid to post anything. Yeah, I'm afraid to post anything. I can probably play this kind of stuff. Let's see what he's got to say on here.
So not always will you cut through with a knee cut if you go from the left to the right. But this is not this is not really bothering me because I end up in a split squat in the worst case. Or let's say
split
one
squat
of the
is
worst cases.
Headquarters.
If you go against Mateusz Cieszyński, maybe with leg lock, but luckily not everybody is Mateusz Cieszyński, right? So I go to the left side with everything that we did. I try to cut to the right and my partner lands in a knee shield. Wow. Not a big deal, right? Because we land immediately in the knee shield. But understand, the moment you land in the knee shield, you want to gain an advantage immediately. If I stay here, now it's 50-50 again. So the moment I land, I will try to control the hands again. And if I control the hands, he needs to fight for the hands, or I can lean my body weight into my partner immediately. So even if he pushes me away here with his legs, let's say he pushes me away with the legs, perfect. I stand up, and where we are, in the supine position. And this is all we want to achieve with rumble passing. So one more time. Let's do it from this angle. I control the wrist. I have head position. I go to the left. I knee cut to the right. And he goes back into the knee shield. From here, I immediately try to get the hands. Let's say he gets it right here. And I apply pressure. If he pushes me back, not a problem. I land and exactly where I want to be. And it's super.
So that's Dima. I just wanted to show you Dima, just so you could put a face to the name. And one more gym tour. I'm liking these gym tours because I can talk about business all day long. But until you see the results, you see how other people are running their businesses. I feel like you guys not going to listen to me. So there we go. Let's click on it. IBJF.
To our gym. We're very nice to have you
Santa Monica.
here.
You know this money over there.
I'm going to give you a little bit of an architectural tour of Meraki.
So you see these schools are going towards this aesthetic.
We'll start here with the logo. The logo comes from Bauhaus, which is the movement from Germany for architect. It's modern day architect from Walter Gropius was the first person to do wood, steel, and glass. So the whole academy is based off of this, and that's why the logo.
The tripod, guys. Wood, steel, and glass.
So as we come on in,
hey, look at that guy.
So
the barber shop.
We have a chair here. We have our own product line.
Oh wow.
And art for this section was
the actual barber shop.
So it's all about the hair, but the faces are scrubbed out so that there's
cheeseburger.
Identity.
Get on that cheeseburger.
Right? So,
get on that cheeseburger.
Just a welcome area. As we keep coming, we have the private room. This beam was stuck in the wall whenever we opened it, so there was nothing to do. We didn't know kind of what to do with this, so we had this idea of we'll just make it a see-through wall to kind of fit the one.
That's kind of cool. Beam. All these schools have the private lessons separated.
That's kind of why this happened, was accident. It was
show you the exclusivity, you know.
This is the private room for everybody. When you first come to Meraki and you've never trained jiu-jitsu before, this is the first place you see, and it's with multiple of our instructors. You come in, this is where you learn to tie your belt, you put your gi on, you have a PowerPoint presentation from the beginning of Judo to modern day jiu-jitsu, right? So it goes through 1952 into modern day. So you learn how to back roll, front roll, hip scapes, and it's either a position from the close guard or a choke from the mount. Right?
That's awesome. A lot of schools do an intro lesson. It's like shows you the basics like that.
And we went with the tile to get a lot of texture and movement so that it's not just so mute, because the colors are very mute.
Cool, I like that art.
Custom desk. Everything in here is built from a friend or from a craftsman, which is kind of cool. So the front desk, the office desk, the chair.
Look at the CEO table over here, the boardroom.
This is the retail area.
I like how retail's not an afterthought in some of these places.
Still need to add some artwork and some.
You know, they actually is
big
well lit.
It's gonna paint, and
it has its own
which brings
space.
us to this wall. Same thing. These two beams couldn't be moved, so it was kind of didn't really know what to do, more or less. So I wanted to have it matching, but we instead of just having vertical, we went with horizontal and vertical, just to
it separates the room, but it
its own
also
little art
lets you
piece
peer
from
into the next room.
The retail looking out into the mats, it kind of captures its own piece of art. Then as we come through,
I mean, you guys got to distinguish yourselves, you know. You got to distinguish yourselves.
We're very fortunate that we have
I'm not saying spend $1 million, but what are those little touches you can add?
In a very lucky situation that we fell into. And we wanted to really kind of have a gallery setting because we had this white wall that was so large. So whenever we were building the academy, it was, okay, how can we maximize more of a, instead of having a jiu-jitsu academy, it's more of a gallery, and with the use of jiu-jitsu as an art form, more or less than
like
competition
the plant
kind of based
accenting
going for.
the wall
And
right here, a
jiu-jitsu for
little bit of
everyone.
green.
And tried to be more creative and have a creative space than a academy that's just meant for competing and focusing on competition, where it's more, we're trying to focus on the arts, really, a little different. But we have some.
That gives you story. You know, when you're selling your program, that's the story. Like, we're more about art.
Adults, we have it all, right? So that's kind of what we're looking for. As we come down, again, we're very fortunate to have friends. This was a picture that I really liked from a really good photographer named Magnus, which is one of my favorite pieces in the academy. As we come, women's restroom, same thing. Every wall in the academy was perfectly balanced for the art and the plants.
Yeah, look at the plants. You see the plants?
And it's kind of its own frame. Like everything has its picture frame, right? Kind of goes to the art.
Oh, frames, you said. I thought you said something
all the
else.
paintings that we have now here are from Victor Reyes. He's one of the original graffiti artists of LA. So we put his artwork on the outside.
I wonder if you could do a wrestling program similar to this. You know, it'd be kind of hard.
On the inside. And then next week we'll be changing the artwork.
Wrestling's art form too. I think kind of lean into the hard-nosedness a little bit too much.
And,
but
he's an artist, so we're trying to keep everybody that trains, builds cars, builds furniture. It's constantly trying to get the correlation to stay within the academy. So then when we come into the restroom, same thing. Each design of the tile changes direction with each shower.
Yo, my man
1, 2,
planned
and
out the
3 and then
bathroom.
So the direction of this floor and the women's is going the opposite direction, so that it keeps a balance within the walls from concrete to the divider. And some famous artists from Deffer, which is pretty cool. So try to keep the LA thing, because we're an LA brand, right? So
yeah,
everything
LA.
we do is to keep.
You gotta think about your market
LA.
too. You know, if you're in New
that's
York,
it.
you gotta be more
Academy,
grungy, more grimy. You know, if you're in Miami, you gotta be more upscale.
This place is from my professor Ramon Limos.
Atlanta, you gotta have
the whole philosophy
the chicken
and
wings,
training and
cooking.
Curriculum came from what we were doing whenever we were living in Brazil. So I'm very fortunate to be one of his black belts and to be able to share his system with our students. So a lot of the gym wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Ramon. So I just want to give a lot of thanks for Meraki from Ramon.
The biggest, hardest thing that you're going to come across is to
Is this a famous guy? I don't really know.
For the first time.
Looks famous.
I think it's all in your head. I came on my own, but if you have somebody who does jujitsu just to ease that sort of that scenario in, it's even better. But literally after the first session, you're just going to be like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of interested to see if a wrestling program academy could do something similar, like bring the aesthetic to wrestling.
Just to ease that.
And I think that would help bring in more casual people. You know, there's a lot of people. I've done a few wrestling clinics, and one thing I noticed was like the adults feel like the wrestling's just for the kids. And I think me and Jeff did the wrestling clinic. We were the oldest dudes out there. We were older than everybody, and people just couldn't fathom that the old guys are out there on the mat doing the warm up and doing the techniques. It wasn't anything crazy, but I feel like, don't kill me, wrestlers, but if you could soften the culture of wrestling a little bit, I mean, keep the competition mindset, et cetera, but you bring in some of these casual people, the parents, you know, the guys that used to wrestle and then they miss wrestling, but there's no wrestling academy, so they have to go to a jiu-jitsu academy. But if the wrestling academies could run on that model, I think it would do really well. And we see this in judo, like Colton Brown, Travis Stevens. They run their judo programs like a jiu-jitsu school, you know, having a full schedule, multiple classes. They'll have the judo class, they'll have the jiu-jitsu classes all together, or, you know, staggered, however, you know, the schedule works. But if you do that, I think that's a successful model. And you can actually, I think it would be smart for you guys to pull from the jiu-jitsu community, because in jiu-jitsu, we have pretty much everybody kind of mixed in together. Competitors, wrestlers, crazy guys, housewives. But if you could draw from that pool, you could actually expand your own arts, your own sports. And yeah, I don't know. I'm only just pondering here. You guys got to actually apply it for me. So I think that's it, guys. Where's my thing at? Oh, sponsors. Jesus Christ, sponsors. Sponsors. Inverted Gear. Where are you, Inverted Gear? I can't see you. There we go. Inverted Gear, guys. Go check them out. Offer code ALEC. ALEC. They got some new gear coming out. We can actually go. Let's check them out. What you got new? What you got that's new, Inverted Gear? Let me check real fast. Inverted Gear. I got some things on clearance. And it's like the 2024 models are on clearance for the gis. No gi, kind of the same stuff. Actually, they had some new stuff. They got this white starter panda gi for $80, guys. $80. That might be something you guys should invest in. $80. That's a good looking gi. I kind of want this plain gi. I like the plain panda. You know, nothing else on there. That's pretty. It looks like my competition gi, actually. Is it the same one? It's a starter gi. So I mean, that's cheap, guys. $80. I was paying $80 20 years ago for a gi. $75 for my first Vulcan gi, which I don't even think is around anymore. So yeah, offer code ALEC. Be sure to check that out. Where's the thing at? There you go. On your next purchase. You know, and Vertigear has some other stuff too. They got, Nelson, I need some of this stuff, Nelson. Come on, Nelson. I need I need the fanny pack. I need the polo. I need all this stuff. I don't know about the Pennsylvania t-shirt. I need everything except for the Pennsylvania t-shirt. I need a jersey, Panda. Can you give me the jersey, Panda? But I need this hoodie. I need this pullover. I need the fanny pack. I got my wish list on here, so I'm hoping Nelson watches it and sends me the little goodie bag. Yeah, that apparel is pretty good. And then no gi. I had this rash guard. Oh, I don't have any of these rash guards. Nelson, I need some of these rash guards. The shorts, I might need some more shorts too. Ooh, I kind of want to try these board shorts. Yo, Nelson, I need some board shorts. I need some board shorts, Nelson. What else? And also, we'll talk more about this, but they have a camp. I've done it one time. Maybe I'll find some pictures or video. But they had this camp in Mexico, Oaxaca. In Puerto Escondido. It's a pretty fun camp. It's around November era. Yeah, November 4th to the 8th. And you basically go hang out with Hillary and Nelson for a couple of days in Mexico. So I suggest you guys go. It's fun. It's a fun experience. And the hotel is pretty decent. The food is great. A lot of seafood. A lot of really good seafood. And then we train on these mats. If you watch like the Rotulo Bros or Gorilla Grips, they train on these green mats. It's like an outdoor space. So we'll look more into that. You guys can sign up. I don't know if I'm going. I've been to it once, but maybe I'll go again. If you guys let me know. If you guys want to go, I'll go with you guys. Okay, I'll show you around. I'll hang out with you, train with you. But you guys let me know if you guys want to go first. And then other sponsor we got is, I'm gonna get this guy off of here. Get off of here, Vertigear. We got BJ Mental Models. We're gonna go to their website too. You guys hear me talk about BJ Mental Models all the time. I think they've been doing this State of the Meta recently with Drew Foster. If you guys know who Drew Foster is, he is kind of the father of ecological training. So if you want to learn more about ecological training, be sure to go to BJ Mental Models. And I can't move my thing on here. Oh, get out of there. Oh no. They got me. You can sign up for their mailing list and all that other good stuff. Podcasts, you guys have that. Free resources for information. You know, they got everybody on there. Rob Bernacki, Jon Thomas, Chris Wojcik. Stephen Kwan does a good job of tapping into the community of jiu-jitsu. I've read that off of there. And then they have different courses: intro bundle, competitors bundle, business bundle. Just remember, guys, if you sign up, I think with the premium, let me move this guy. Get out the way. Yeah. If you sign up with the premium, which is the $20 per month, you get the free Yoga for BJJ subscription. So I think that's well worth the money, guys. Well worth the money. And then as you upgrade, you get the coaching platform, the coaching review. I think that's worth the money as well. And you get their online academy, which is with his brother, Stephen Kwan's brother. And then there's another one, Premium Pro. If you guys want to support the channel, Premium Pro, offer code Alec. That's basically it, guys. As always, if you don't want to pay, go to the sponsors. You're like, I don't want the BJJ mental models. I don't need inverted gear. You can always sponsor the channel through Snapchat, Snap, Cash App, or Venmo. And that just helps me get more equipment. I get more lights, more microphones. You know, you guys know I like the tech stuff. I be filming stuff and have all this equipment, you know. And I always try to upgrade. That's something I always try to do. Always try to upgrade. You know, at least I'm gonna have this audio good. I might look ugly on camera, but the audio is gonna be solid, right? And that's it, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace, and stay out of trouble.